In this tutorial, I cover how to create basic summary statistics just using base functions in R. To begin, let's load our data set, which is Hollywood Movies 2011, which is available on my webpage. First of all, let's just make sure it loaded, so check that your Environment tab, you have the Hollywood Movies 2011 data set. You can click this arrow to expand to see what columns are in that data set. You can also view it just to see the data set itself. So one initial thing to do when you first load a data set in order to get a quick glimpse of the distribution of each of the variables in your data set is to run summary of that data set. So running this summary command will print quite a bit down here in your console, and what it does is it gives you a basic summary of each variable, and the type of summary depends on the type of variable. So if you look at movie and lead studio, those are just giving you labels or categorical values that are found in the data set and how frequently they occur. Now the movie title, each of those only occurs once. The lead studio, there were 32 independent films. There were 12 by Warner Brothers, 9 from 20th Century Fox, so on and so forth. So what you're seeing is that for categorical variables, which are often labeled as factors or characters, up here in the Environment tab, is that it's going to give you a basic frequency table. Now for numeric variables or quantitative variables, which are labeled either as int for integers if they are not decimals, or num for number if they are numeric, if they are in fact decimals or in decimal form, it'll give you the 5-number summary plus the mean, as well as if there are any missing values, which are denoted by NA. So for the Rotten Tomatoes score here, you're going to see that it gives you the minimum, which is 4, the first quartile, or the 25th percentile, which is 29.25, the median at about 53.5, the mean at about 53, the third quartile, or the 75th percentile here at 78, and the maximum was 97% fresh. And there are 2 missing values in this data set. We see something similar for audience score. So this gives us a quick glimpse of each of the variables in our data set, which is good to start to explore the data. The next thing we might want to do is to just focus on one variable. So if you only wanted this type of summary for a specific variable, what you can do is in the summary command, give the data set name, $sign to pull, and then the column name. What that $sign does is it pulls off the variable name of interest. So if we run this, it's only going to give us the summary that we saw for the Rotten Tomatoes score. Now we can calculate just single summary statistics, and they're usually logically named. So for example, if we want to calculate the mean of the Rotten Tomatoes, we can just try to calculate mean Hollywood Movies 2011 $sign Rotten Tomatoes, but what we see is that we get an NA. Thinking back to this summary, we have 2 missing values. And so in order to tell R that there are missing values that we should disregard in the calculation of the mean, we add NA equals RM equals true, NA.RM equals true to this statement, and then we can actually calculate the mean. We can do something very similar here to calculate the median. We just change the function name, and those match the summaries that we've seen before. We can also use the function SD to calculate the sample standard deviation, which is about 27 here for the Rotten Tomatoes score. And we can also calculate specific quantiles and percentiles. For example, if you just wanted the first and the third quartile, which we know the values from our previous summary, we can use the quantile function. And then we give it the column name that we're interested in, just like we have with the other functions thus far. In the quantile function, you need to specify what probs you're going to use. Now, probs basically tell you what quantile you're going to use. So here, we're going to have the 0.25 and the 0.75 quantile. And remember that the only difference between quantiles and percentiles is that quantiles are in decimal, communicated in decimals here. So it's the 0.25 quantile. That means it's the 25 percentile. And so we can just make sure that you have your percentiles in decimal form, put them in there. You use C if you want to list more of them. So C stands for concatenate, so that we create a vector. And again, we'll have NA.RM equals true. Running that, you'll see you get the percentiles of interest out here. And you're not restricted to just 0.25 and 0.75. You can explore other things. You also may be interested in other functions. So feel free to think about what other functions are out there that you may want to use, and just use the R help in order to find them. That's how you calculate basic summary statistics in R.